Up straight, Colin.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Please make your way to your seats. The commission ceremony will begin shortly. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the playing of the national, or the singing of the national anthem by the Laurentian Singers, followed by the invocation given by Reverend Kathleen Butler.
I know, exactly.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please join me in the invocation. Source of all compassion and creator of all life, we give you thanks for the dedication and commitment of Sean. He has embodied the excellence and seriousness of purpose that is a hallmark of St. Lawrence University. We have witnessed his strong character as he walked amid his fellow students with care and clarity. May that same commitment and care follow him as he begins his service in the greater good of this nation. As we gather for Sean's commissioning, for the oath, the pinning, the first salute, the words of wisdom from others, we pray that your spirit be with him, and may your spirit be with his family and enfold them all with love and care at this special moment. Amen. Please be seated.
Welcome to the 2013 St. Lawrence University Army Reserve Officer Training Corps Commissioning Ceremony. Today we will commission St. Lawrence student Sean Empey, the Second Lieutenant in the United States Army. I'd first like to introduce our guests of honor, Dr. William Fox, President of St. Lawrence University, Lieutenant Colonel John Hinrichs, our guest speaker, and Lieutenant Colonel Abram DeMarco, the Professor of Military Science for the Golden Knight Battalion. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Fox.
Thank you, Major. This is always a very special part of commencement day at St. Lawrence. This tradition goes back many, many years, actually to about 1915, and this campus has produced some very distinguished members of the uniformed service of the United States. As a president, you can imagine that I have to study the subject of leadership. And I never served in a uniform, but I have an idea of what makes good leaders. And I've studied the lives of some of the greatest known generals of our history. And when I say our history, I mean human history, not just American history. And one thing that I can say they have in common would be liberal arts is somehow back in the pattern of greatness. Whether it was Alexander studying with Aristotle, or down through the days of our own George Washington, or Grant, who could write brilliant prose, These leaders had a balanced education and a perspective on the world and life and culture and art and science that made them the leaders that I think the United States of America deserves. So this is a special occasion to commission a member of the class of 2013 in the service of his country, and we are very confident that St. Lawrence has helped him prepare for a life of service and a life of leadership. Sean, congratulations.
This time, Lieutenant Colonel DeMarco will introduce Colonel Hendricks.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today as we commission Cadet Empey. Today marks the beginning of his career as an officer in the United States Army. This is an important milestone in his life that he will remember for many years, and we are honored that you have joined us to make today even more significant. It is appropriate that you are here for another reason. Each of you have helped to get Cadet Empey to this point in his career. It is largely because of the love and support that you have shown him that he has accomplished all that he has. So I'd like to thank you for everything that you have done for him. Sean, even though today marks the start of your Army career, of course you're no stranger to the Army. In fact, you've been a part of the Army family for as long as I have been. I have to admit that you have had a unique journey to get here today. Not only growing up as an Army brat, but having your father as your senior military instructor certainly gives you an in-depth understanding and an unusual perspective into how the Army works. But remember that there are still a lot of surprises in store. You still have a lot to learn. The Army has an uncanny knack of putting us in positions that we are not expecting. So as you become a lieutenant today, don't forget all that you have learned and experienced getting here, but be prepared to learn and experience even more. You and the soldiers that you lead will be that much better for it. I wish you the best of luck, and I look forward to serving with you again wherever our paths may cross. It is now my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker for today. For many of you, Colonel John Hendricks is a man that needs no introduction, but I'm going to do it anyways. Colonel Hendricks is a graduate of Central Connecticut State University. He is commissioned into the infantry and served in a variety of command and staff billets in the 3rd Armored Division and the 101st Airborne Division Air Assault. He served as an observer controller at the Joint Readiness Training Center in Fort Polk, Louisiana. While assigned to the 10th Mountain Division, Colonel Hendricks deployed to Kosovo and Iraq, and he then served as the professor of military science for the Golden Knight Battalion for 4 years. Finally, Colonel Hendricks completed his military career in the 10th Mountain Division with a deployment to Afghanistan. His awards and decorations include the Bronze Star, Joint Service Commendation Medal, Combat Infantryman's Badge, Expert Infantryman Badge, Senior Parachutist Badge, and Ranger Tab. Ladies and gentlemen, Colonel John Hendricks.
Colonel DeMarco, thanks for having me back. It is great to be back in the North Country. Dr. Fox, thank you for supporting ROTC and our nation's military on this special day. As you touched on, St. Lawrence University has a long tradition of students and graduates serving in uniform. And today, Sean Empey will carry on that tradition. I'm going to have to lean back like this a couple times to make sure I can see. Every day, people on campus walk by Gilson Hall, the building that houses the Commons College. Many students probably don't know that Gilson Hall is named after J.C. Proctor Gilson, St. Lawrence University class of 1915, a captain in the United States Infantry when he was killed in action July 18, 1918 in Soissons, France. Another St. Lawrence alum that I learned about preparing for today was Ted Rosen, who was given the nickname Indestructible Man by Ripley's Believe It or Not. Ted was a St. Lawrence football player who dropped out of St. Lawrence, but it does have a happy ending, to join the 10th Mountain Division, the unit that I so proudly served in. On February 25th, 1945, he had 2 grenades clipped to his belt when a German threw a grenade into the Jeep that he was riding in, detonating the 2 grenades. He was injured, but had no broken bones, and hence the nickname Indestructible Man. He did come back to St. Lawrence University and graduated and became a very successful businessman. There are more recent graduates who also chose to serve our nation in uniform. A few years ago, we had two Major Generals that returned to their alma mater, St. Lawrence University. The Major General is a two-star general, to participate in the commissioning and commencement ceremonies. Sean, when Major General Cerf and Major General Rowe were here, they talked about the value of their liberal arts education. All the books and classes that you have attended and will attend with the Army cannot fully prepare you for the challenges that lay ahead. But your ability to thoroughly analyze problems and use critical thinking to develop solutions and options will truly get you far as an Army officer. Soon to be Lieutenant Empey, thank you for inviting me to share in today's activities, a day you and your family will remember for the rest of your life. Today you graduated from college and will become an Army officer. When I was a second lieutenant, I showed up at my very first unit, and they were burning the battle books for the defense of the Fulda Gap. And a few months later, we were deploying to Desert Storm, where your dad already was. It was unheard of and unexpected for an armored division from Europe to deploy overseas. Sean, no one can predict what changes you will see in our nation's Army during your time as a soldier, but you can be sure there will always be change and challenges, and it is your job to be ready. My first brigade commander, William Nash, gave us 4 rules to live by, and 25 years later, I think they are still appropriate, and I want to share them here today. You don't have to take notes though. Rule number 1, never fight a fair fight. He wanted us to use all assets that are available to us. Infantry and armor working together, utilizing artillery and aviation, really all the battlefield operating systems and technology, using them faster and more efficiently than the enemy. Number 2, never go where you haven't been. I didn't understand this one at first. Just think about it. Never go where you haven't already been. What he meant was do reconnaissance, do rehearsals, and do drills. Time you spend rehearsing, Sean, with your platoon, to rehearsing for briefings that you will be giving to senior leaders will never be time wasted. Number 3, keep it simple. Soldiers can achieve anything if they understand what their leaders want. And number 4, take care of each other. This does not mean you should become best buddies with your soldiers, but it does mean train them hard so they succeed in combat and come home to their loved ones. Know their interests and their families. Know when they are troubled and in need of help. Punish them when necessary. Always award them on time when deserving. Sean, always give your soldiers credit for your success, and always take personal responsibility for your unit's shortcomings. Sean, you have prepared the last 4 years and have achieved 2 major accomplishments today. Your next adventure as an Army officer is just around the corner. In the words of a wise Master Sergeant, who you may have heard, Cadet, I hope you are enjoying all the free time you have now, because you will really be busy once you are a lieutenant in an Army unit, and I can assure you, you will be busy. Over the next few months, thousands of young men and women will graduate from high school and go to basic training and advanced individual training and arrive at their unit at about the same time as you. They'll just be a few years younger than you, and your NCOs will be your age with a handful older than you. The parents of all those soldiers are entrusting their sons and daughters to you. Don't ever forget the awesome responsibility you have as an Army officer. Those parents and our nation expect you to uphold Army standards daily. You are always being inspected, and you are always on parade. Place your soldiers' needs before your own and be a servant leader to your soldiers. Sergeant Empey and Paula, thank you for allowing and encouraging your son to become a soldier. You understand the challenges that lay in front of him, but you will also understand what it means to be part of something bigger than yourself, and swearing to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I know you are very proud of Sean, as you should be, on this special day as the military legacy continues on in the Empey family. I'm truly honored and humbled to have been invited here. It only seems like a few months ago, Sean and I were conducting the initial interview. You have some long days ahead in your future, which will make for short months and years. Learn as much as you can over the next few months of your continuing education, but don't be afraid to ask your sergeants questions when you arrive at your unit. They realize you don't know everything, and will chuckle if you try and act like you do. I have been to enough of these commissioning ceremonies to realize that most people won't really remember what I have said in just a few minutes. And I know on Monday, Shirley and Dillis will be critiquing the speech. And I hope I get a passing grade. Sean, in closing, there are two things that I want you to remember from today and carry on. Always take care of your soldiers, and very importantly, don't forget to call your parents. Just because you're a lieutenant doesn't mean that they're going to stop worrying about you and loving you. Thank you so much for having me. Congratulations, Sean. Army Strong.
Cadet Empey is now presenting Colonel Hendricks with a plaque in recognition of his participation in this weekend ceremony. The plaque reads, "Thank you for your words of wisdom, years of service, and continued dedication to the country." We will now commission Cadet Empey to second lieutenant. He will receive the oath of office from a commissioned officer. He will then have his gold bars placed onto his uniform for the first time, signifying his rank as a second lieutenant. He will then receive the first salute from an enlisted service member. Traditionally, this is known as a silver dollar salute, as the newly commissioned officer will present a silver dollar as a symbol of mutual respect and trust between the officer and the enlisted corps. Finally, he will receive his commissioning certificate from Colonel Hendricks. Cadet Sean Empey will be sworn in by Lieutenant Colonel John Hendricks.
At this time, I'll try and clearly articulate the oath of office. The oath that Sean is getting ready to take is not an oath to a political party or an oath to a person, as military officers take in other countries. He's taking an oath to a document, to the idea that binds our country together, to the U.S. Constitution. That is the oath that Sean is taking. It is slightly different than the oath that I rendered to him 4 years ago, which is the same one that our soldiers take. In the soldiers' oath, they are taking an oath that they will obey the orders of the officers appointed over them. You are still obligated to obey the orders of the officers appointed over you. Don't tell a colonel that I said differently. But as an Army officer, which you are about to become, the oath to the Constitution means that if you were under some terrible circumstance given an illegal order, you are required to obey the Constitution, and you cannot use the defense that you were just following orders. That will never work. You will be held to the highest standard, and I know you are ready to achieve that. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your full name.
I, Sean Patrick Empey,
Having been appointed an officer in the Army of the United States
having been appointed an officer in the Army of the United States
in the grade of second lieutenant,
in the grade of second lieutenant,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
and bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
and bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
I take this obligation freely,
That I take this obligation freely,
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of the office I'm about to enter.
of the office I'm about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Lieutenant.
Lieutenant gentleman is receiving his gold bars from his mother, Paula Empey, and his grandparents, Brad and Carol Russell. Lieutenant Empey is being commissioned into the Chemical Corps. He will receive a Bachelor of Arts degree in history. He will serve this summer at the Leadership Development and Assessment course at Fort Lewis, Washington, prior to attending the Chemical Officer Basic course at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. His first duty assignment will be at Fort Hood, Texas, with the 1st Cavalry Division.
I'm short, that's all.
Lieutenant Empey will receive his first salute from his father, retired Master Sergeant Mark Empey.
From the front, sir.
All the way.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct honor to introduce the Army's newest second lieutenant. We would like to thank all the participants and planners of today's ceremony, to the parents, family members, supporters, and mentors of this new lieutenant the nation is indebted. Please stand for the benediction, followed by the playing of the Army song.
John, as you go forth to lead others, I share with you this benediction for leaders, adapted from the words of John O'Donoghue, an Irish theologian and no stranger to conflict. May you have the grace and wisdom to act kindly. May you be hospitable to criticism. May you never put yourself at the center of things. May you act not from arrogance, but out of service. May you learn to cultivate the art of mindful presence in order to engage with those who meet you. May you treasure the gifts of the mind through reading and creative thinking, so that you continue as a servant of the frontier, where the new will draw its enrichment from the old, and you never become a functionary. May you know the wisdom of deep listening and the healing of wholesome words. May you have good friends to mirror your blind spots. And finally, may leadership be for you a true adventure of growth. So now go in peace, to uphold peace, to embody peace. Shalom, Shanti, Salam. Amen. This concludes the 2013 commissioning program. Please join us for refreshments.